This video is about evaluating functions for integers. So I want to start with something that should be more familiar. When given an expression, so this is an expression because it doesn't have an equal sign, we can evaluate it at different numbers for different integers. In this case, I would just take this 3 and I would stick it in to my expression where the x is. Instead of 3 times x, I would have 3 times 3 minus 2. It's kind of messy too, that's okay. And I would get 9 minus 2, which is 7. This is more familiar, right? And I could choose some other value to stick in for x. It doesn't matter what it is. I could say, okay, then in this case, I'll put the -2 in for the x. Well, negative times a positive is a negative. -6 minus 2 is -8. And this is older. This is stuff that should already be familiar. Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to look at it a little differently. We're going to look at it in function notation. So I would read this as f of x equals 3x minus 2. And I want to find f of 3. Guys, this is just function notation language for saying, hey, got this thing, 3x minus 2, and I want to see what's going on whenever x is equal to 3. Honestly, I'm going to solve it exactly the way that I did the last one. I'm going to say, well, f of 3 equals 3 times, I'm going to stick that 3 in for the x minus 2. Well, that means that f of 3 equals 9 minus 2. F of 3 is equal to 7. Now, some of my students sometimes get a little confused about the f of 3 on the left. They're like, well, does that mean I need to divide by 3? Do I have to do something with that 3? No, you guys, this f of 3 just means, hey, 3 is the thing we plugged in. So whenever I plug 3 in there, I get 7. It's kind of an input-output scenario. This just reminds us what the thing we plugged in for x was. And just like our last problem, I can plug in something different. I can say, hey, same f of x, same function, this time find f of -2. So f of -2 equals 3 times -2 minus 2. And I'm going to solve it the same way I did the one on the last page. F of -2 equals -6 minus 8, or -6 minus 2, which is equal to -8 because I got a little ahead of myself there. There we go. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself. All right, so this can look like a variety of different things because this feels very elementary perhaps, like things you've hopefully done before you got to any of my classes in the high school level, but we can make it look different. There's a lot of order of operations stuff you have to pay attention to. So if I have f of x equals the quantity 3 plus x squared, and I want to find f of 6, let's see what that would look like. F of x equals, I should put a 6 there. Here, let's start again. F of 6 equals 3 plus, just a little FYI here. That's where our 6 came from, okay? It went right there where the x was squared. One thing I'd like to point out, if you're in my class and you have access to the calculators, I'll show you how to do this on the calculator in a minute. So f of 6, 3 plus 6 is 9. So really this is going to be 9 squared, which is 81. F of 6 equals 81. Now, just kind of a heads up, especially if you're low on time, if you're taking a standardized test or something, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. There's no reason to take more time than you need to for this stuff. So one great thing about any sort of nice calculator, like how can I show you the buttons and the screen at the same time? Is just that you have everything you need. You can do a fraction, you can do parentheses, you can do exponents, you can do all of these things. So I could just say, so open parenthesis, and I'm going to say 3 plus 6, close parenthesis, and let's square that. So 3 plus 6 squared, and it'll do the order of operations for me. Honestly, this was about as easy to just do by hand. Most of these are. But if you're ever in a terrible hurry, you could type the whole thing, really for all of these, into the calculator and just press enter, and it'll take care of all the order of operations and stuff for you. I don't want you guys to rely on the calculator too much, but think of it as a tool to help you go faster when you're in a hurry. Okay, let's try this one. This one, the variable, the x, is up in the exponent, but that's fine too. So I'm going to find f of 0 equals -4 times 9 to the 0 power. It's raised to the 0 exponent, plus 10. Now, order of operations, exponents come first, so I have to do 9 to the 0 power. Hopefully you remember that anything in the world to the 0 power is actually 1. -4 times 1 is -4, so this turns into -4 plus 10, and I would have f of 0 equals -4 plus 10 is 6. Honestly, I could even type that into my calculator. Let's see. I've got -4, got the 9 in parentheses, raised to the power of 0, have there, plus 10, and I get 6. So if you're getting lost, calculator will help you get your order of operations down. Okay? Let's try one more. Now, this is the type that I do make my Algebra 2 students do all the time. More complicated ones, exponents, and, well, variables and exponents, and things like absolute value symbols. But I hope if you're in my Algebra 2 class, you remember what the heck absolute value symbols do. Sometimes it's been a while. So I'd put my -2 in there for the x. Okay, I'm going to start by doing this stuff inside of these are absolute value symbols. Sometimes my absolute value symbols, students think they're 1s. These are not 1s. Hopefully it's very obvious. So f of -2 equals absolute value of -3 minus 7. What's going on here is, if you recall, absolute value symbols take whatever's inside and it measures the distance from 0. It turns it positive. So this is f of -2 equals +3 minus 7. Bit different than -3 minus 7, right? And my final answer would be f of -2 equals 3 minus 7 is -4. Side note, if you're trying to do this on the calculator and you want those absolute value symbols on the Casio, this is F4, yeah, F3. Took a second for me to remember. F4, F3 gave me those absolute value symbols so that I could type in -2 minus 1, and then on the outside, -7, and it's -4. But that's, see, and I'm still in that menu. So that's F4, F3 to get the absolute value symbols on these particular calculators. That's it for now.